Hari Om. We will start the session. Please sit up straight. Breathe in and breathe out. A few deep breaths to relax your body and your mind. Make sure all the tension in your body is released after all the day's work. If there's any tension in any part of the body, please make sure it's completely released. Bring your mind to the here and now. Om. Sahana vavatu, Sahano bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vedvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatonmayaditaratah chartheshvabhignyam swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayaha Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Satchidanandarupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Hari Om. Hari Om. So,
Aarti, are you there? Oh, okay, sharing issue. Huh?
Yeah, all good. Okay. So, during the last session, where we stopped was we were looking at, Bhishma Yudhishthira seeking advice from Bhishma. He is very lost. Yudhishthira is very upset. He feels responsible for the death of so many of his family people, and he was down. And then Krishna, even Lord Krishna, tries to tell him that whatever happened he was just the instrument, and that he shouldn't take responsibility for this whole thing. Whatever happened because it was necessary for dharma to be upheld. But still, Yudhishthira didn't seem to be, convinced by that. And then Lord Krishna takes him to Bhishma, who was on the bed of arrows, waiting for Uttarayana to arrive. Because Uttarayana is considered the auspicious time for someone to leave and attain moksha when they leave this body. And for 54 days, then Bhishma talks to Yudhishthira. He talks about Rajaniti, many questions. And we also, as part of the questions that Yudhishthira asks Bhishma, we looked at the Purushartha, also Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. The four Purusharthas were that one should follow and how it should be followed. What is the right way of following the aims of your life, the purpose of your life. We also saw that. And one other fact to add here is, at the end of that, Yudhishthira also asks the question as to who is the highest Lord to whom one should pray. And there are 6 questions based on that. And it is at that point in time that Bhishma, in fact, narrates the Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 potentials of the greatest Lord, of the Supreme. He gives out that 1,000 nama. Vishnu Sahasra Nama is composed on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra to Yudhishthira by Bhishma while he was on the bed of arrows. So we stopped. So we will start today from the last 2 stanzas of this chapter, Uttarayana, the day for which Bhishma had been waiting. So Bala, would you like to take it up?
Yeah, okay. Uttarayana, the day for which Bhishma had been waiting so patiently and so impatiently, came at last. Bhishma was prepared to shed his body. Bhishma, who had led the Kaurava army for 10 days, who had fallen on the bed of arrows on the evening of the 10th day, who refused to reach the heavens on the same day since it was Dakshinayana. It is said that there will be rebirth for one who lays down his body during Dakshinayana. Bhishma, who was the foremost of the sons of the Paurava race, was getting ready to go back to the heavens. He looked at Krishna and said, "My Lord, it is said that one should close his eyes and contemplate on the form of the Lord in the mind just before the breath leaves the body. But I have the good fortune of having the Lord of the Lords by my side. Can anything be more glorious than this?" Bhishma called for flowers and worshipped Krishna. He became silent. His thoughts were flowing towards Krishna in an endless stream. And like a sigh breathed by a tired traveler at the end of his journey, his breath left his body, and Bhishma was one of the denizens of heaven.
So before this, when right after he talks to Yudhishthira, when he feels he is done, his eyes suddenly move towards Krishna. And that moment when he catches Krishna's attention, because the God, Krishna is always there. He is always there. It is when Bhishma looks at him, at that point, he gets his grace. And it is said that, this is there in the Mahabharata, that when Bhishma at that point in time looks at Krishna, that piercing pain of his arrows right? The arrows have pierced from one side and have come out of the other side. And he is lying down on these bed of arrows, right? So that piercing pain of those arrows is completely numbed. And he does not feel that pain of the arrows the moment he sees Lord Krishna.
Yeah, very beautiful. Bhagavatam is all about this beauty of dying, isn't it? We will see so many stories where, but Bhishma is, I think, the top. Yeah, like what Aarti said, imagine the kind of pain he is going through, but look at the graceful exit of his. In fact, the last shloka that Bhishma says, he compares body to a nest, it seems. So he says, now I am leaving this nest. Body is just like a nest. How the birds, they build the nest, and once the utility of that is over, they fly away from that. Like that, now this is of no use to me. I am leaving this. So like this nest, how the birds leave, I am leaving this body and I'm continuing my journey. So here, we thought it would be apt for us to look at, death as a process, a little bit of, what it is, and we can maybe look at it and see and understand a little bit more about what this death is at a very, very surface level. Okay. So I'll just share this. You all are able to see the slideshow. Are you able to see the slideshow? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this was prepared by one of the children. Okay. So I'm using those slides here. Death, she called it as a transformation. So it's not something we think it's end of life, right? It is not end of life. It is in fact a transformation from one body to another. We will just quickly see what it is. Yeah. The child is prepared, so there are a lot of this transition and all. So what is death? What is this that we call as death? Before we understand what is death, we need to know, one of the, we call it in our Vedanta, there are many, many different ways of understanding who we are. Yes, this is one such process. Okay, it is called sharira traya. We understand ourselves as, made or as enveloped with three bodies, which is the sthula sharira, means the gross body. Gross is something which can be perceived by all our senses. That eyes can see, the ears can hear, taste, all those five senses can perceive it. Then we call it gross. So sthula. So what is that? We can see, that I'm existing here. What is it? This body, right? So this body makes it sthula sharira. Sukshma sharira is made of our manas. Okay, we call that also, manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, we say, right? So the mind. Karana sharira is the one because of which we are born, the causal body. Okay, just so much. You remember, we will move further and you will understand after this what we can discuss. So this is a beautiful, I think once we had seen this, right, before in the class, the body, mind, intellect chart given by Gurudev. Yes, Aarti. So Gurudev Swami Chinyananda. It's a wonderful chart for us to keep, reflecting and looking at it all the time, to know that, we are made of this body, mind, intellect. Okay, BMI. These are the instruments that we have. We are not that. Okay, and this vasana means that deep impressions, deep likes, dislikes, which has kind of created somewhere, impressions, patterns in our being. That is that. So what these are with respect to the sthula, sukshma, and karana sharira is the body we saw, right? This is the sthula sharira. Okay. Then all our minds, ideas, beliefs, thoughts, everything is constitute the sukshma sharira. Okay. And that's a subtle body. The causal body or the karana is what we, what did I do? Okay, this is sukshma, and then this is the karana sharira, the vasanas, the deep impressions. Okay, why is it called karana? Is because these are the ones which actually are the reason for us to keep taking our birth again and again and again. Yeah, this omkara here you see is the Brahman. Yeah, the moment our attention, so Brahman, the moment our attention turns outward, yes, we are, they say, right, the moment we turn our attention outward because of the triguna and all that, we turn our attention outward, what happens is we move away from that supreme truth and we start building these vasanas in us. Okay, and this makes the jiva. So we all are individual jivas with these vasanas. Okay, so what exactly is death? So we saw the sthula sharira body, we saw the sukshma sharira mind, the intellect, and we saw the karana sharira, which is that envelopment because of which we keep taking birth again and again and again. So in death, what happens is the sukshma sharira leaves the sthula sharira. This is a picture she has put. Okay, the basically some you would have seen in a lot of the we call it astral body. I don't know, a lot of different terms are there. Here, the basically this body is dropped. That's all. Yeah, the rest are carried to the next life. That is what death means. So there is no end to our as an individual jiva. The jiva continues its journey to the next birth. So that is what. Yes. When and why do we die is, yes, the jiva. The jiva means here I talk about the karana sharira, right? Because of which that bundle, you can imagine it as the bundle of deep impressions or the desires in each one of us, which we are wanting to fulfill in the world. We are thinking only this world is going to give me these things. So that deep desires within which are waiting to manifest. Okay, that is that jiva. So this jiva in this body, it has come with a set of deep desires. Okay, and once that is fulfilled, what happens is, now this is of no use. This body cannot serve jiva anymore. So the jiva leaves. That is death. Okay, the same thing Krishna says, he compares it to in chapter 2 Bhagavad Gita. He says, just like how, if this kurta is torn, I'm not going to wear it again. It does not serve the purpose of covering this body, right? So I drop it and I wear another cloth. Like that, the jiva goes from one body to another body to another body to another body based on the set of that vasanas, okay, or the deep impressions or desires that it wants to fulfill in every life. So it is moving from one body to another. That is what we call as rebirth. So what happens while dying? This is something now we can relate to what we are seeing here in Bhishma with what happens is, so the moment, of course, see, Bhishma was a great being, okay? He had the choice of when to choose. But for people like us, okay, the moment the death comes, that time of death comes, what happens is, I said, no, the vasanas, deep within, it knows how this process of death has to happen. So that starts manifesting. Yeah, that starts manifesting. So what is it? Once that starts, then the mind, there are no thoughts. Okay, I become incapable of thinking. Okay, no thoughts. So mind function, meaning the minding stops working. And the life energy is the prana here. Yeah, the prana, it is preparing to exit now. It's all packing out. Okay, so when there is no mind, the thinking, feeling, everything stops. All our senses weaken, unlike Bhishmacharya. Okay, for us here, the senses are weakening. We have no control over this. And the mind, the thoughts are stopping to work. Okay, the nature, mother nature, that is taking over. Okay, and yeah, there are a lot of deep memories that are there. It starts flashing in the subconscious. We also keep hearing, before dying they remember a lot of things. So all that Whatever is, so this is also a very important thing, whatever is deep in our subconscious, those memories flash. So as we live, it is in our hands to see to it what memories I put and what am I giving strength so that it becomes a deep impression. Okay, so that is in our hands. So at the time of death, the one that I have built over through my life by my art of living, whatever I have made as a deep impression comes up when I die. Okay, at that moment of, at that point when the, not when I die, maybe when the Sukshma Sharira is leaving the body. And then, yes, all the karmas are compressed and the prana leaves. Yeah, body is left lifeless. So here, two things I thought, it is very interesting to share. In the Bhumi Varaha Avataram, okay? So here we see the mind stops working, the senses weaken, right? All these things are happening. So I do not have control. Mother Nature has taken over, right? So at that time, in fact, Bhumi, she asks Varaha Perumal, okay, oh God, please give, you have to bless the children, my children, because they don't know, they all are in that avidya, what do you say, they all are very ignorant. What can they do so that they are remember you at the time of death also? Please give them some, wait, let me read that. I had it somewhere. Okay, so when Bhumi Devi asks, then he says, for those who remember me as the, the endless, as the one, the Sarvavyapi, it says Vishwarupam, and then the one who is not born, okay, who is endless, who remembers me as the Supreme God. Okay, let us take it that way now. So he says, for all those who remember me, that I am that Supreme God, when they their body is strong and when their mind is healthy, those times when they remember me, then they don't have to worry. At the time of death, I will ensure that I come as a memory to them. Okay, that's a beautiful shloka that he says. So it says, Sthithe manasi suswasthe. Sthithe manas, where the mind is strong. Okay, suswasthe, when the body is healthy. Sthithe manasi suswasthe sharire tiyo naraha. So that nara, that for that one, okay, dhatu samye smate bhakta vishwarupam chamamajam. The one who also remembers me as that Supreme Lord, to him I come as, even if he is lying down as a pashta kashana, he says, as a stone or a log, even if he is lying down like a stone or a log, okay, I will come as a memory to him. We saw here, right? The one, those memories flash as subconscious. So he says, I myself will come. So all that we need to do is just remember him. Bhagavatam keeps saying, right? Art of living, then the art of dying, he blesses, not an issue. So we keep remembering him when we are in this, healthy mind and healthy body, then he comes to us at the time of death. So what happens after death? Yes, the jiva has dropped the sthula sharira, and now then the jiva waits for the suitable sthula sharira to take another birth, so that those deep impressions that we have gathered over lives, whatever comes, takes the has a very high momentum, then that manifests in the next birth. Yeah, that's it. Anything to add, or if I yes.
So our job is our duty during our life. The art of living is to learn to keep our mind on him at all point in time, so that that memory will come to us at the time of death. I'm remembering the story of Jadabharata also, which is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he actually the Jadabharata in his previous life was a king who had gone through, finally given up his kingdom and had become an ascetic, so that he can keep his mind on the Lord all the time and, do his puja and archana and sadhana throughout the day. One day, one deer comes. It is hurt, and he starts taking care of that deer. And when that happens, that's a little baby deer. So he takes care of that, and slowly he gets so attached. He starts feeding him, and he keeps attending to him, and then it becomes like a baby, and he keeps taking care of it so much that he starts getting so attached to it. One day, when he could not find that deer and he was looking for it with worry all over, he slips on a stone and falls down and hits his head on a rock. And at the time of death, the memory, that flashing of that memory that comes, is the picture of the doe, that small deer, for him in his mind. So in his next janma, he takes the birth of a deer, in fact, because that is the story which comes up. But then the deer remembers, and all that spiritual knowledge that he has kept with him is still there within him, and he continues. In the following janma, he is born as Jadabharata, and he keeps deep sadhana where he doesn't even talk to anybody, and people think he's mad and all that, but actually he just does not want to risk talking and making some mistake again in this janma, because he has all the memories because of his earlier spiritual sadhana. And in that janma, he finally achieves moksha by remembering the Lord at that time. So this whole connection with Bhishma, if you look at Bhishma, he says, at the time of Dakshinayana, the planetary influences are very high on our body. So there is a possibility for these mala, or the unwanted thoughts, to crop up higher during the Dakshinayana phase because of the planetary influence. And hence it is desired that during Dakshinayana, it is the bright phase of the year, and hence higher possibility. And then Bhishma was a devotee of the Lord, and he had the boon to be able to choose when he can die. And so he waits till Uttarayana, when his mind can be completely on the Lord, and without any vrittis or distortions of the mind. And he focuses on the Lord, and he says, the Lord, you are there in front of me. I don't even have to bring it up in my mind. You are there right in front of me in all that pain. When he is leaving his body, imagine he is taking flowers and putting it at the feet of Lord Krishna. That is the level. That is the art of living has led to such a beautiful death for him, where he is able to live with so much consciousness without, otherwise a normal person who is in desires and waiting to be reborn again and again as an automatic cycle, and there's no choice there. The memories we have seen, old people, they lose their memories, and they talk a different thing and stuff and the mind is not under their control. But when the mind is completely under my control and I can think about the Lord, the memories are very high. When I have lived my life by keeping my mind in my control, being a master to my mind and keeping it on the Lord at all point in time. So Bhishma leaves the body in such a beautiful way. Thank you, Bala, for that whole presentation.
And yes, Prabha has put the story of Amba, reborn as Shikanti, is also an example of unfulfilled desires, right? Yeah. I think if we look at Puranas, we'll find ample examples. Anyone would like to share anything, any thoughts before we move on to the next? Again, I have to share. Yes. So until Aarti joins, maybe I start. So this is a new episode now, a very interesting one. The son of Abhimanyu. We all know who is Abhimanyu, right? Arjuna's and Subhadra's son, who was actually slaughtered by the Kaurava armies with so many Maharathis. Everyone was there. Karna, Drona, Acharya, everyone, right? Kripacharya, Duryodhana, of course. So, son of Abhimanyu. Yudhishthira had been crowned as monarch. Krishna said, "Now that my task is done, now that my dream has come true, I should begin to think of going back to Dwaraka. It is ages since I left my home. Satyaki and I have forgotten what the city looks like. Please let us go back for a while at least. I must see my aged parents and all the others." When she heard about the impending departure of Krishna, Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu, came rushing to him. She fell at his feet and holding on to them, sobbed out the words, "Krishna, Krishna, you are the Lord of the universe," says grandmother. Who is grandmother? Kunti. "You are the only person who can help me. I am in great trouble. I am pursued by a powerful presence which is spitting fire all the time. I am not fond of this life of mine which has lost all meaning ever since that day when my Lord died on the battlefield. Krishna, I am bearing the child of your Abhimanyu. The child is the only gift of the Pandavas to the throne of the Pauravas. I am afraid this fire will destroy my child. Please save it from death, Krishna." You want to continue, Arthi?
Yeah, sure. Krishna closed his eyes, and to his mind came the day when Ashwathama sent his Brahmashirsha Astra. When he invoked it, the Brahmin had said, "Let the world be Pandavaless." Since he could not withdraw the Astra, Ashwathama had aimed it at the unborn sons of the Pandavas. Krishna lifted up Uttara and said, "Do not weep, my child. I promise you, Abhimanyu will live again in you. I will stay here till your child is born. I'm here to protect you. Do not worry anymore about the fire which is threatening you and your son. I will take care of it." Krishna entered the womb of Uttara with the power of his Maya. He was there when the Astra entered her to destroy the unborn child. With his divine form, he fought the Astra and finally subdued it. The child, while in the mother's womb, saw a glowing form emanating from the Astra. It enveloped him, and he felt that he was being burnt. He then saw another form. He was as big as a thumb, and he was beautiful. He had a golden crown on his head. There was a blue sheen on his body like that of a cloud, and his dress was the color of lightning. He had 4 long arms which were decked with bracelets. His earrings were glowing like golden fire, and his eyes were crimson with anger. He had a mace in his hand which he was twirling, and the mace was spitting fire like a lit up torch. He was going round and round the child and was holding at bay the Astra and its fire. For months he stayed inside the womb of Uttara. Can you go down, Bala? Inside the womb of Uttara with the child, and finally the power of Brahmashirsha was quelled. And even as the full-grown child was looking, he vanished from his sight. Abhimanyu's son was born. There was great rejoicing in the city of Hastina, and the child was called Vishnu Rata, since the Lord himself protected him and made a gift of him to the Paurava throne. Krishna called him Parikshit, because the child, even when he was in his mother's womb, used to look at the form of Vishnu and ask himself, who is this wonderful person dressed in yellow silk, wearing this lovely garland with the gada in his hand, who is protecting me all the time? Who is he? He had begun to question about the form of the Lord even before he was born. Here, I would just like to read out the actually translation of what happened there. But before that, see, the one of the things we have to remember, Uttara is feeling this blazing, fiery feeling in her womb, because Ashwatthama has sent that Brahmastra towards him. And she, in all of this, remembered to call out for Lord Krishna. Just like Draupadi at the time of her Vastrabharana, at that time, she just surrendered to the Lord. She tries initially, she tries to talk to Dhritarashtra, all the elders there. She tries to make her husbands come out and fight. And then she herself fights for herself, and she tries to hold on to the sari. None of those efforts were working. And at that point in time, she just left her hands. She didn't even try to hold on to her robes, and she just completely left her hands up, and she surrendered to the Lord, and she said, "Oh Krishna, please, only you can help me." It is in that kind of surrender when you know that none of your effort is going to help, and only he can do something. It is that kind of surrender when Uttara then calls out to Krishna. Krishna is there immediately to protect that child within. And then the moment Uttara says, "Krishna, please protect me," the words told by Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti experienced personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Ashwatthama's Brahmastra. So Krishna's form, divine form, is supposed to have left him and gone into the womb of Uttara. Right? So Kunti is experiencing the Lord Krishna and his form entering into the womb of Uttara. So she was then puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all pervasive or is he localized? What is the truth about Krishna? In fact, he is both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. For such people, there is a curtain which covers him. And that curtain which covers him is the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord himself. And it controls a limited vision of the rebellious soul, which tries to be there on its own without acknowledging the Supreme Reality's role in his life. So one beautiful song which brings out this whole part, I think it's a very popular song, Tamil song. Thirayin pinnirkindrai kanna. You are behind a curtain. I'm not able to see you. Thirayin pinnirkindrai kanna. Unnai marayorum ஞானியர் மட்டுமே காண்பார். Only the realized souls, ஞானியர், only they are able to see you. திரையின் பின்னிற்கின்றாய் கண்ணா, உன்னை மறையோரும் ஞானியர் மட்டுமே காண்பார். என்றாலும் குறையொன்றும் எனக்கில்லை கண்ணா, என்றாலும் குறையொன்றும் எனக்கில்லை கண்ணா. Even then, there is no grief in my life. I'm waiting for you. Okay, these are the lines which reflect. So he is all pervasive and he is local. He is everywhere. He is within me. Okay, so with this now, and once he has entered the womb of Uttara, and that form, that baby is scared. There is something very hot. There's something happening. The Brahmastra is there and he can feel that there is something happening, and he's very, very scared about it. And at that time, he also sees this other form, the form of Mahavishnu, who is, that jewel, bright crown, bright earrings, and the black body with his lightning-like clothes and long arms, 4 arms. And this baby is wondering, who is this? And this form of Lord Narayana is there with his gada, fighting and keeping away that Brahmastra from getting close to the baby. And he keeps circling the baby. He keeps circling the baby, fighting with his gada, keeping the Brahmastra away, protecting the baby. And the moment this baby sees this form of Lord Narayana, he feels a peace within. That fear has vanished. And he is asking the question, who is this? Who is this? And when the time comes for the baby, when it is full grown, at that time, it takes so long, that whole Brahmastra was completely destroyed by the Gada of Lord Narayana. And that moment, he again leaves the womb of Uttara and goes into the, and gets into the form of Lord Krishna, who is outside. And this baby, when he is born outside, it is told, this is there in the Mahabharata, he was not able to hold, when the baby is born, he does not cry. And when he doesn't cry, Lord Krishna says, if I am a brahmachari, then if I'm a true brahmachari, then this baby, he will come up to life. And when that happens, the baby starts crying. And everybody wonders, how can Krishna be a brahmachari? He has 16,000 wives, and he has Rukmini, and he has Satyabhama. How could he possibly be a brahmachari? He is a brahmachari because all his senses are completely retreated, and he is completely established in the highest self. He is only playing a role in this world to teach all of us a lesson, to give all of us his teachings. He has taken this form, only he is performing a role. So it is like an actor playing a role on the stage. On the stage, he is showing all his emotions of anger, of sadness, of love, and everything. But he knows he is not that character which is playing on the road. He knows he is different from that character. So Lord Krishna is that. He himself is Bhagavan, the omnipresent, the omniscient, and beyond all Triguna. Beyond all, Triguna is the Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic nature. He is beyond all of that, and hence not influenced by anything that comes through the senses. And hence he is a brahmachari. So, and this baby, Parikshit, he who was protected by Lord Krishna, is called Vishnurata because he was protected. And it is said that whenever he is looking at anybody outside after he has come out, he is like, oh, is this the person? Is this the person who protected me? So that examination, Parikshit, he is examining as to who that self, that great reality he had witnessed when he was in the womb itself. What a blessed soul he had witnessed there. Is this him? Is this him? And that is why his name he came to be called as Parikshit. Any thoughts, any questions, anything over here? Anything else, Bala?
Complete, like Krishna. Can put in the chat box also, if anyone, or unmute it.
Yeah. Okay.
In Guru Charitra, okay. Exemplary stories. Krishna became the reference point for it. Actually, this is interesting, no? You see, even for sage Narada, we saw, Narayana gives, the vision of, his form to Narada and then disappears. And then sage Narada had to go over his life and all that. And the time comes when that real liberation happens. He exhausted all the vasanas, maybe. Like that here also, Parikshit has actually experienced, no? We say that sakshatkara, right? Bhagwan in front of him. But then, that is one thing they say. For those who have so much devotion, somewhere that sakshatkara has happened. And then with that, they had put the reference, that becomes that anchor. And with that, Parikshit lead his life also. Later we see, right? He becomes the Raja of Hastinapura, everything. He does, he was a dharmic Raja and all that. And later we will see how this bhakti has given birth to Bhagavatam, actually. Right? Okay. Shall we continue then?
Yes, I think we can continue.
Krishna takes leave of Kunti. Oh, this is a beautiful chapter. I think today we can introduce, and I think we can.
We will delve into it in the next class. We will just take it up a little today. We will just read through it and talk about it. We will take it up in depth in the next class.
Kunti Mata, just look at that character, the depth of that character in Mahabharata. Oh my God, what all she is experienced, She comes to Hastinapura as the queen, and that time Pandu becomes the king. But then they go to the forest with, Pandu's choice to go to the forest, right? So they go there, they live there, and he loses her husband also, her co-wife, whoever you call it, Madri also, goes with Pandu, right? So he raises all the Pancha Pandavas with so much of good samskaras. As a mother role, I think we all need to derive inspiration from Kunti, that samskara, for dharma. All Pancha Pandavas, they just lived for dharma, right? So that was the great samskara that Kunti brought in all of them. And even when they come back to Hastinapura, it was never welcoming for them. All the sons, be it, even Kunti, that entire atmosphere was never welcoming for them. In spite of it, she was, with that, I don't know, that depth of character is something which we can't even think of. I think it is. So we will delve into Kunti Mata. The excitement after the birth of the child had now subsided, and things were coming back to normal in the city and the palace of Yudhishthira too. Krishna knew that he had an unpleasant task ahead of him. He had to tell them that he wanted to go back to Dwaraka. They loved him so much they would not welcome his departure. He loved them too, but he had to go. He bade farewell to every one of them individually. To Subhadra, his sister, to Draupadi, to Dhritarashtra, the old blind king, and to Gandhari, the saintly wife of the old king, and the Pandavas. They were loath to let him go, and very unwillingly Yudhishthira let him go. Krishna went to the apartment of Kunti, and falling at her feet, he said, "Please wish me well. I am going to Dwaraka." Kunti smiled sadly at him and said, "Still, you are playing the role of Krishna, my brother's son. I am an ignorant woman, Krishna. I have not studied the Vedas, nor have I been taught Brahma Vidya. But I know one truth, and that is, you are the Ishvara, the Lord of the Lords. I salute you. You are the truth that has always existed, the creator of the universe, the Purusha. You are the power that brings Prakriti into action. You pervade the universe made up of elements. The impenetrable screen which goes by the name Maya hides you from us, and we cannot perceive your presence in every living and non-living object. You are the five senses, and you are beyond their power, since you are the truth behind them. I know very little, but I know that you are the absolute truth. The only thing I can do is to salute you. Ignorant woman that I am, I do not even know the proper way in which to pray you. I fall at your feet in all humility. Loaded this. But look at the humility of Kunti Devi. Yes, Arti.
Through that whole Mahabharata, just imagine the state of the mother. Every day somebody was dying. All her 5 sons are there at war. Any mother for that matter. And just imagine that plight of the mother who knows they are all at war, and it is and her children's life are in danger, and yet dharma has to be upheld because she is also a Rajamata. And and during that whole time, her mind was only and only on Lord Krishna. She was just praying and praying to him. And when she prayed to God, it was Krishna's image that came to her. And it was with that it is revealed to her that it is Krishna who is the Purusha, the creator of the universe. And hence, she actually falls at his feet. And it's also, in fact, maybe next class we will look at it in a little more detail. But Krishna says, what is this? Why are you suddenly falling at my feet? You are my aunt. I should be falling at your feet. Why are you falling at my feet? He says. And then she goes on to tell why. There is a conversation between Lord Krishna and Kunti, and we will go.
Yeah. So here also she says so much, no? You are the truth that who always existed. In fact, I don't know if it comes in this book, somewhere I have read, just like how Bhishma wanted the vision of that warrior Krishna. Okay, Kunti says to Krishna, oh Krishna, you come to me like that, the small little child you were. Okay, please show me that vision in front of Yashoda. Yeah, that small little child eating butter, playing with your friends, mocking the gopis, all that. Come as that Vrindavan Krishna. So here Kunti relates to Krishna in that is called the Vatsalya Bhava, no? The child. God is my child. So she was that mother stature. So she related to Krishna as a child. That the Vatsalya Bhava was just flowing in Kunti. We'll continue reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead, Arti.
Like an actor appears on the stage whose acting is so perfect that the audience think that he is the character whom he is portraying. You have played the role of Krishna to perfection. Your real nature is not known to all. To people deluded by the 2 cardinal faults, I and mine, you are invisible. Sages who have practiced the yoga of selflessness, who have tried to realize the Brahman, who have schooled their emotions so well that they are beyond their influence, even they are not able to see you. How then can we women, ignorant even in the yoga called bhakti, perceive you? To me, you are the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, of Nanda and Yashoda. You are the cowherd who tended the cows in Vrindavan. But you are, I know, the Lord Narayana, whose navel has the divine lotus in it. Long ago, your mother Devaki was freed from the prison by you after you had killed Kamsa. Even so, I have been saved again and again from your misery, from miseries by you. My sons have regained their kingdom because of you. You have been our savior. You have been there to protect us whenever troubles visited us. You are beyond the grasp of the highest intellect, and you have been with us in a human form with a name, and that has been our great good fortune. Whenever misfortunes befell us, in its wake we found you coming to us. You have loved us so much. I'd like to go to the previous stanza. Because we have spoken about what is death, and this stanza which says, you have played the role of Krishna to perfection, but your real nature is not known to all. To people deluded by the 2 cardinal faults of I and mine, you are invisible. And sages who have practiced the yoga of selflessness and who have tried to realize the Brahman, who have schooled their emotions so well that they are beyond their influence, even they are not able to see you. But the real jnanis are able to see him. I'll take the liberty of one more song here. just to finish, I think, the session today. So God is the same, right? For everybody. He is available for everybody. But am I ready to drop that curtain to see him? What is that curtain? That curtain is of the I and mine and me. If I am ready to drop that curtain, then I can see him. When that curtain drops and I see him, I see him. When it doesn't happen, then I see it as death and I fear death. It is mere death. Otherwise, it is moksha. I become one with him. ಯಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣೆನೆಂದು ಕೇಳಬೇಡ. Don't ask where Yama is. ಯಮನೇ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮನು ಸಂದೇಗಬೇಡ. Know that Sri Rama is only Yama also. ಯಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣೆನೆಂದು ಕೇಳಬೇಡ. ಯಮನೇ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮನು ಸಂದೇಹ ಬೇಡ. ನಂಬಿದ ವಿಭೀಷಣಗೆ ರಾಮನಾದ. For the one who had faith in him, for Vibhishana, he became Rama. ನಂಬದಿದ್ದ ರಾವಣಗೆ ಯಮನಾದ. For the one who did not have faith in him, he became Yama. ನಂಬದಿದ್ದ ರಾವಣಗೆ ಯಮನಾದ. ಯಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣೆನೆಂದು ಕೇಳಬೇಡ. ಯಮನೇ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮನು ಸಂದೇಗಬೇಡ. ನಂಬಿದ ಅರ್ಜುನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಿತ್ರನಾದ. He was the friend of Arjuna who had faith in him. ನಂಬದಿದ್ದ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನಗೆ ಶತ್ರುವಾದ. He became the enemy of Duryodhana. So God is there, Bhagavan is there for us. Am I ready to see him? Or am I going to allow myself to be deluded by my ego, by this Maya, by this ignorance? Is a choice. Whether I can work towards it is the choice.
Yeah, beautiful. So the faith was something, that this. So Nambida Arjunake Mitra Dada. So the one who had faith. So Kunti Mata is an example for faith. What all she undergoes, like what Ati was saying, when she is listening to so many people dying in Kurukshetra. Okay, she's Raja Mata. For her, everyone was like her own child. So if dying, the kind of sorrow she was going through, yet she had that faith, right? A very, very short story there. Many of you might have heard this. It's a very popular one, but I thought it is apt to tell here. Okay, in a flight, there is a child who is sitting, and there was one other man who was sitting next to the child, and the flight is flying high. Okay, they were going somewhere, traveling somewhere, and the man was looking, and the child looked like she was all by herself, around maybe 7-8-year-old child. That's all. So he was trying to talk to her and converse with her and all that. So after some time, the child was happily talking to this man. But after some time, there was the seat belt indication which came, and then there was an announcement from the cockpit saying there is a lot of turbulence. So ensure you all wear the seat belt. So immediately after that announcement, what happens is really people started to feel that turbulence. It was too high, even for the flight to manage, and the oxygen masks were coming down because oxygen was going low, and people were panicking, and everyone was in there, and people were really disturbed, and few were praying, few were shouting, few were screaming for help and all that. And this man looks at the child. The child was calmly following all the instructions and doing things very calm. And after some time, the turbulence stops and the flight is back to its, journey. And then once everyone was settled, this man was surprised with the child's equanimity, that behavior of the child. So the man asks the child, "Oh, my child, so many things happened, and all of us were so scared. And you were not scared at all. What happened?" And the child told, no, no, I was not scared because the pilot of the flight is my father. Yeah. So if we can also think that way, the pilot of our life, this entire creation, this entire cosmos is Krishna, is Narayana, or the God, Supreme Lord. Have that faith. Whatever happens, He knows. He is that, for our, He's the well-wisher. He's so moving from that wish fulfiller to well-wisher. He is our well-wisher. He's not our wish fulfiller. So as long as we are looking at Him as wish fulfiller, I and mine is there. The moment I see He is the well-wisher, He knows the best. There is no I, mine, and there is a complete surrender there. Yeah. I'll stop sharing. Bhakti, again, you may. 1 minute. Come back. Yeah, meanwhile, Hanuman, you're singing with divine. Okay, send in the group. Okay. Now, Hanuman with faith towards Rama flew across the ocean. Yeah, monkeys putting their faith to Rama across the ocean itself with a bridge of boulders. Yes, that is ultimate, no? Just writing Rama Nama, that the faith of He's the director choreographing it for us. Very true. Arti, you're on mute.
Of all the monkeys, it was Hanuman who was chosen to go. And why was he chosen to jump? It was his faith. He was recognized for his faith. It's only that.
Yeah.
It's not just our skill. I may think skill, but faith can move mountains, they say. Right? It can even achieve the unachievable for if it is. I mean, I'm not talking in terms of achieving in the worldly, but even that it can when you have that true faith. But to go beyond that, it can achieve the unachievable if we just have that strong faith. Yes, Bala, you were saying.
Yeah, correct. That faith comes when there's absolutely no I, mine. Look at Hanuman. Where was that I, mine? Okay, when Ravana asks him, "Who are you? Who sent you? And, why are you here?" These are 3 questions asked. And one reply, he says, "Rama Bhakta." That's all. He never said, "I am Hanuman." Everything answered there. He said, "I'm the Rama Bhakta here." He identifies himself as that is our identity. If we can have that as our base identity, I am the devotee of the Lord. Now I am the mother. I am the devotee of the Lord is our root. That like that in the tree, if you see taproot, right? In the taproot, there is one main root and there are many tertiary roots. So that main root is I am a bhakta, getting that from Hanuman. I am the bhakta, and then the tertiary roots are all other roles, all vrittis that we play in this world. In faith, with faith, yes, Lord is with us.
Just wanted to add here, maybe. Are you able to hear me?
Feebly, but
Yes,
yes.
yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. No, remember one is towards the of that is Ramayana when Rama and Sita, they finally reach Ayodhya after the thing over. Rama decided to give gifts to everyone. All the people he give gifts. He gave gifts to Sugriva, Bhavan, everyone who were there with him. And then Hanuman was all standing on the side. So, and just smiling and enjoying the view and everything. After everything gets over, Rama just comes to Hanuman and just at him. And with so much of emotion, there is so much of emotion for Rama. And Hanuman is, as you know, how he look Rama. That kind of faith and devotion he has. So Rama comes and says, Hanuman, I don't have anything to give you. And Hanuman just goes and hugs Rama. You are there in my heart. What else I need? So this is a very beautiful. I remember we read that it is very very touching. about the faith of Hanuman, where he does not want anyone else. That's why they have say, heart is open and you find Rama and Sita in his heart. So that is the purity of Hanuman and the faith of Hanuman. I thought it's a very nice way to end this session today. Okay.
Okay. Oh. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayah सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ